Look at me actually getting a news story out on time. Look at me go. BuzzFeed News to close as media firm cuts jobs. And oh well, that's just what happens, isn't it? BuzzFeed is to close its news site and cut its workforce by 15%, Chief Executive Jonah Peretti has says. It comes as the digital media company faces serious financial challenges, including a slump in advertising spending. Calling the decisions deeply painful, Mr. Peretti forgot my microphone wasn't even in front of me. Deeply painful. Mr. Peretti said he could not invest more in the unprofitable news site. Man, I wonder what made it unprofitable. He said the firm would focus on delivering news via the HuffPost, which BuzzFeed took over 2 years ago. Our industry is hurting and ready to be reborn, he says. We are taking great pains today and will begin our fight to fight our way to a bright future. Founded in 2006, BuzzFeed was once one of the most popular names in online media, known for its quizzes and viral content, as well as a serious news operation. And it was at one point, there was a point, I know that this is going to be very, very shocking to many of you, there was a point when BuzzFeed was good. There's just the same as there was a point where Vice used to be good. Back in the day, I loved Vice when they were doing, see how their documentaries and stuff like that as well, like going over into North Korea or visiting the coltan mines in Africa and all that type of stuff. That was back when Vice was really, really good. BuzzFeed at one point were good. They were very clickbaity, like that classical internet thing where it's pure it's like, a study of men's penises while I took acids. How big do they get? The answer might surprise you. Like that type of stuff, that was the type of stuff they done. It was clickbaity, it was that type of stuff. Share this quiz with your friends, like the standard stuff you used to get on the internet back then. So, not all good, but there was parts of it that were good. And it was good. I wonder what changed. Well, we'll save it for the end. It listed on the stock exchange in 2021, but raised far less money than it had hoped. The company, which employed more than 1,300 people globally at the end of last year, had already announced a wave of layoffs in December, affecting more than 170 people. The latest cuts involve about 180 jobs. Some of the news staff may find roles in other parts of the company, BuzzFeed said. The company will continue to operate the HuffPost, its food brand Tasty, Complex Networks, and its namesake website. This was just a little short article. Because it's literally 10 minutes ago was just announced. Well, one thing is obviously during the Nazi Pug debacle and all the times I've been in the news, I've had many dealings with BuzzFeed journalists, and basically I outlasted them. I still have a job. I'm running a company, in fact. So, yeah, things karma always catches up on you eventually. But the whole thing is same with Vice, is BuzzFeed was good at one point. What happened, and it's a whole get woke go broke type of thing. And okay, is that if you want to take it at a surface level, but one of the deeper reasons is and lots of other places do this. Especially left wing outlets, is posting just inflammatory articles that will get rage shares. And this was the problem that a lot of people fell into, right? It got to a point where everyone was hating on BuzzFeed. Everybody hated BuzzFeed, apart from the city dwelling, preppy, metropolitan, I'm in a polyamorous relationship with 5 guys. None of them know, though. Those types. That was who BuzzFeed became popular with. And they would write inflammatory articles, just lying and saying a bunch of outrageous stuff about the right-wing bigots and Nazis, blah, blah, blah. And those would get rage shares. And there was people just sharing it because they're angry and making videos on the article. And what they would see is holy shit, this article's had so many views and so much engagement. This is the popular stuff, and they did that, and yeah, okay, in a short period of time, over a short period of time, you will get a lot of profit from that. You're getting your raid shares, you're getting your article shared around, you're getting loads of engagement. That is good for short-term profits, but with every single one of those articles that you release, you are damaging the reputation of the company. Right? So they would still, on their wee quizzes and all their other wee departments, like it happened with Vice as well, where they were like, oh, our gaming section, our little like motherboard section, we're going to close some parts of that down because it's not getting a lot of engagement. But, you know, this stuff, the Rage articles, oh, they're getting shit tons of engagement, but all they were doing over the long period of time was making everybody, you know, creating the opinion with everyone that, oh, BuzzFeed's not trustworthy. They're not trustworthy. They're biased. They're partisan, like blah, blah. They're not journalists. They're political activists. They're doing X, Y, Z and all that type of stuff. It was actually a BuzzFeed article that originally got my channel demonetized completely. And it took ages of going back and forth with YouTube to get that fixed. But the journalist who was actually in charge of that, who was with BuzzFeed, who did encourage some sketchy behaviour from their journalists, he ended up getting a job. He left BuzzFeed and got a job at the Financial Times, but acted and did some sketchy things like he would have done if he still worked at BuzzFeed. The Financial Times went, no, you can't. What do you mean? You joined the Zoom call of a rival newspaper, recorded it, and then were providing live news updates on it while the meeting was still happening. And it was a meeting for journalists getting told that they were having pay cuts and they were getting fired. And this guy was posting it live while he was hiding in the meeting. And the Financial Times went, what the fuck are you doing? That's literally corporate espionage. This isn't BuzzFeed, pal. You can't do that. And he got fired. He got fired, and he was actually in Britain on a worker's visa. And because he didn't have a job, and because he was then blacklisted by all the journalists going, yeah, that guy does like literal corporate espionage, illegal shit, don't hire him, he ended up having to move back to his home country because he couldn't get a job anywhere. Look, I'm just saying karma will always come around to bite you in the arse, right? People will eventually get their comeuppance. If you engage in absolutely atrocious shitty behaviour, that shitty behaviour will eventually catch up to you. You know, that's just the way it works. And it's you hate to see it. No, you don't. You love to see it. But in regards to BuzzFeed, they basically focused on the thing that was making them the most short-term profits, but in the long run, that thing was damaging and wrecking their reputation. To the point where BuzzFeed ended up becoming a meme. It became like, you know, if you looked up bad journalism in the dictionary, you would see the BuzzFeed logo. Right, that's what it became. Everyone was like, it even became a joke among journalists, like, oh yeah, why don't you get a job at BuzzFeed? Basically, it's like saying, you know, instead of working in the office as a managing director, why don't you go work in the warehouse? And everyone, because it became viewed as like the lowest brow of journalism. And that is through completely their own fault. They focused on areas that just damaged their reputation for the sake of short-term profits, because everybody says all engagement is good engagement. I think you might want to revisit that and reevaluate it a little bit, right? Because bad engagement, you know, while it generates some money in the short term, it's damaging your reputation to the point where BuzzFeed did just become a giant meme. It just became a giant meme and everybody was dunking on it all the time and laughing at it. And here we go. It's ended up resulting in the name itself becoming so toxic that advertisers don't even want to advertise on the website anymore. Right, and that's the point. Advertisers, you will find advertisers for your website. Like, it's an easy thing to do. I mean, see if you give them like an absolutely amazing deal. Like if you're charging them literally pennies, like any company will go, oh yeah, fuck it, yeah. If it's literally cost me a few pence, yeah, go for it. But you're now at the point where advertisers don't want to advertise on BuzzFeed because the name is just that bad, because companies now don't want to be associated with a name that is synonymous with bad and sketchy journalism. So it's get woke, go broke, you know, go woke, go woke, go broke. That's like the basic bitch explanation of it. BuzzFeed did it a lot deeper. They focused on the short term, not realising that in the long run they were absolutely demolishing their good name. I mean, it was once a good name. But, hey-ho. I've got a feeling this is something that we are going to see a lot more with all these. And I've noticed that a lot of these outlets are starting to move away from that stuff a little bit because they have kind of realised, oh shit, these articles that we wrote for Rage Clicks, they've kind of fucked us and people don't see us as a valid news source anymore. Hey-ho. Maybe we'll see more. Hopefully we'll see more.